and everybody wants to move on to the next level. It's no different once they get to this level. And the biggest thing that we tell our guys on day one is to be coached is to be loved. This is the first slide of meeting one. To be coached is to be loved. And it's something that guy I worked with, the head coach at USC, Clay Helton, he used to always use this term, was to be coached is to be loved. And, we pour ourselves into our guys, and a lot of times we're coaching them hard as heck. Sometimes to be coached is to be loved means tough love. And so that's where we start everything right there in our room. Our expectation is you come in here and you're ready to be coached, and you're ready to be coached at a high level, and just understand that everything that comes out of us to you is love, out of love. Because I know sometimes when we really get going, it might not seem like love. It might seem a lot more like tough love. So we make sure that we start with this. All right. So I'm going to take you guys really quick. Just our philosophy as a defensive line here. Okay. We want to dominate the line of scrimmage. I think everywhere you go, every place in the country is going to say the same thing. We want to dominate the line of scrimmage. We want to stop the run, whatever it is. Okay. And so here's how we feel like we got to do that. We've got to feel like we got to set a new line of scrimmage. We got to play on the other side of the ball, which means we got to be great as with get off technicians, everything. So the biggest deal for us is if we're dominating the line of scrimmage, they're not playing on our side of the ball. We're playing on their side of the ball. All right. And we feel like if we stop the run, if they can't run the ball, whether it's an air raid team, whoever it is, if they can't run the ball on us, they can't beat us. So it all starts with stop the run. And what we tell our guys is we're earning the right to rush. You're earning the right to rush. Okay. So the second part of our philosophy is pressure the quarterback. Okay. And what that means for us is a relentless rush. No matter if coach sends 4, he sends 3, sends 2, or one of us, and luckily here, most of the time it's a 4-man rush. Our job is to get to the quarterback. Our job is to make sure that quarterback never feels comfortable doing his job. All right. And that's so our whole thing. We want to stop the line. We want to own the line of scrimmage by stopping the run, earn the right to rush. And then we want to make sure that quarterback feels shitty about his day of work every day, every time he sees us on the field. The last part of our philosophy is the 10 commandments. Okay. And we're going to get into the 10 commandments now. So I'll just go to the next slide. But our 10 commandments, guys, are kind of where we try to separate ourselves from other defensive lines in football. Okay. And the way I say that is we're really, really hard on all 10 of these things in every single rep we take. All right. And the first 3 are stance, alignment, and assignment. So with stance, alignment, and assignment, these are all football IQ. Okay. This is where, you've got to do a good job of teaching, and they got to do a good job of learning. I know exactly what stance I'm supposed to be in here. I know what exactly my alignment's supposed to be, and I know exactly what my assignment's supposed to be. That's football IQ. That's you as a teacher, them as a student, and knowing their job. And like I said, you're going to see as we coach each one of these, we're extremely, extremely hard on all these things. You got to be in a perfect stance. You got to be in a perfect alignment. You got to know exactly what your assignment is. Okay. So after that, the next 5 are get off, target, hat and hand placement, separation, and escape. These are all technique. All right. And if truth's being told, this is why I really like to coach D-line. This is why I like to coach a position right here. You can pass people if you're a good technician. If you're really good in these things, you can pass people. And when I say pass people, when we've got a really good football player here at Montana State, we're telling them, hey, listen, I know you're really good at Montana State, but if you want to pass the guys at Oregon State, at Utah State, at San Diego State, at Louisiana State, if you want to pass everybody and get a chance to be an NFL football player, if you become a technician, you can pass people in this game as a D lineman, where give me a 5 flat corner and he's never going to be able to be an NFL corner. He's just there's certain limitations with the spot where he's never going to be able to pass somebody at another school and be better than somebody to be an all-league player. So the technique, we really pour ourselves into that and hold ourselves to a high standard there because of we feel like we can be better than people and better than other groups. All right. So pursuit and tackling are the last two. And these are really effort. Okay. And over the years, me and Coach Bapp have talked about this, and over the years, really, we coach these with such great detail. These are effort for sure, but we almost teach these like techniques because we don't want just guys working hard. We want them working smart and putting themselves in great spots. Okay. Anybody have any questions yet on that part of it? Okay. So here's the thing I think that's really, really good is when you come out and you say, all right, we're going to be about these 10 things in every single clip, every single rep we take in practice, everything we do, we're going to be on you about your stance. We're going to be on you about your alignment. Well, when you go to get off drill, it's really good. It's really easy to have a good stance and a good alignment. And all of a sudden you go to a strike drill or a read drill or something. Next thing you know, all of a sudden that stance has kind of gone by the wayside because we're focusing on something else. For us, we're never going to ever allow anybody to create a bad habit and not hold the standard up on all 10 of these and every single thing they do. Because, it's like Rod Marinelli, one of the greatest D-line coaches in the world. I got a chance to be around him. And, he said it best. D-lineman, you're creating your habits, and then your habits create who you are. And so we're not going to ever allow them to ever veer off the path on any of these, no matter what we're doing. So just teaching you guys the way we teach, we teach our stance. And obviously, a third down stance is a little bit different. When we get into the even stance is just a little bit different. But how we start with our basic stance is feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, weight on the inside balls of our feet, heels out of the ground, toe to heel stagger. This would be 1st and 10, obviously. Hands slightly in front of the helmet, shoulders square, butt slightly above the shoulders. Okay. And this is really big for me. Especially nowadays in football, you see that butt kind of dropping down below the shoulders. When that butt's down, your body tends to pop up. And so we want that butt up because when that butt is up, it's harder to pop up. You kind of end up going straight out of just, physics. And so really getting that butt up, you'll see us coaching that quite a bit in every single drill we do. All fingers in the ground, all fingertips in the ground. We coach a lot of camps and stuff, and we'll come up and we'll see guys kind of like have their hand like this or like this, and having all those fingertips in the ground is really going to help you ultimately, get a better vision of your key and get your eyes on your key faster. Hands slightly in front of the helmet. We talked about that. Bull the neck. Okay. We really want to bull that neck because when that butt's up, okay, and that top of the helmet's there, it's hard to get your eyes on where you're going, but we want to talk about bull the neck, not drop the butt. Okay. And then that offhand being ready to go at all times. That offhand ready and in a good position to strike out in front of you is important to us. And the reason being is when guys put their hands way too far down to the ground or on their pads, now you're almost always going to get the wind back. And we're not looking for the wind back. Everything we're teaching is we want to go from here straight through. We want the hands to go straight through the target. Everybody good on stance? Okay, obviously third down or something, instead of toe to heel, toe to instep stagger, we'll go toe to heel on a third down. And some guys are a little bit longer. Instead of putting that back foot back further, we actually tell those guys, let's bring that up foot up just a little, tuck it up just a little bit more underneath yourself, because it kind of gives you a little bit better base and a little bit more traction. And we don't want you to be too long in your stance, because the longer you are in your stance and the less coiled you are, harder it is to take a lot of ground with that first step. So we'll actually bring the upfield foot up a little bit more so than elongating the stance with only the back foot on third downs. Okay. All right. Alignment. All right. And we teach this, and this is something that's hard to do in every single drill you have, but that's why in every drill we have a football, and we start every drill with a football. with it. We want to make sure these guys are getting off on the football. So we're looking for credit card alignment. We should only be able to take Coach Bapp's black card there and be able to slide it in between the players and the football. The biggest thing for us is we want to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Well, it gets harder and harder to do that the further you're back in your stance. So a couple of things. We crowd the ball. We make sure that we're on side. So, and I know this drawing here is these cartoon characters aren't great, but we always tell these guys, okay, if we're growing that hand out from the face mask, our hand is out in front of us, our head is behind our hand, and our hand is right on that ball, a credit card on that ball, we'll always be on side. All right. So we start there in every single thing we do. And, we watch film and if we see a guy from the wide copy starting to creep back or starting to get over, it's something that we focus on heavily. Like I said, all 10 commandments are going to be stressed at all times. Okay, alignment. This is just the way we do it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do it the same, but on every single play, you're going to have an alignment. All right. And so, you're going to be a 3 technique or a 2 technique or a 5 technique, whatever it is. That alignment will always be associated with the number. I think the biggest thing when you talk about football IQ, okay, and we put that for these first 3 things, where you really get good on football IQ is when you say, okay, you're a 3 technique, as your alignment is a 3 technique in this picture. But now let's think about this. Where's the back at? Okay, what are we calling this call for? Or what's our movement on this call? Because we don't want to all of a sudden be, on a pirate stunt and we're cheating all the way down to head up, or splitting the crotch. And then all of a sudden, we're moving out and we're outside knee. So, we're very, very hard on them about these alignments, but also at the same time being smart of putting ourselves in the right spot for whatever our job is. So, and it's third down. We say, hey, 3 technique. You shouldn't be inside knee. Now you should be outside knee, or wider, depending on what the call is. The other part, okay, so assignment. So we already said alignment will be a number, and then assignment is always a letter. So you're a 3 technique playing the B gap. You're a 3 technique moving to the A gap. You're a 5 technique playing the C gap. Every defense we call, they'll have both of these things associated with the call. Okay. And, and they're going to be held extremely accountable for knowing what their job is on every single assignment, on every single play. And this is part of being a good 1 gap football defense. I mean, when these guys really truly know, hey, this is my gap and this is where I've got to be, and this is where my 1/11th happens, then, that's a big part of the job. And it's our job to make sure they know exactly where they're supposed to be. And it's their job to make sure that they do. We play good technique to get in there. Okay. All right. Next one, get off. Okay. Get off is the key in great D line play. And like I said, so we do every single drill we do off ball movement. Okay. And we don't ever do these drills where we line up and we just go, all right, let's go, set, go, set, go, set, go. We don't do that because we want them working off of movement, because at the end of the day, when it comes to game day, we don't want them jumping and we don't want people hard counting us. And so we try to start with making sure that we do every single drill off ball movement, not sound. We want to beat our O-line. We want to beat the O-line out of their stance. And that's hard to do. And that's something that we work really, really hard on to make sure that we're out of our stance as fast as we can. And, I'll get to this in the bottom here, but, we look for indicators on things that can help us get out of our stance quicker. All right. So great get off. If you're an inside player, for years, when I coached, when I played, everybody that's been through this, heard this, it was 6-inch power step. And, the more time we went through with kids, we realized that 6-inch power step is really it can do 2 things to you. We can really do put a kid into a situation where he's really trying to place a step in a certain spot, or he's popping up to step. All right. And we don't want guys popping up. We don't want guys coming out of their stance high. And we don't want them trying to place a step and getting into the game of, did I step too long? Did I step too short? We had a kid at Tennessee when I was there struggling like crazy with it. And when we called Rod Marinelli, like I said, one of the greatest of all time. And, his recommendation to us was, look, I tell my inside guys, we're exploding out of our hands and our hips. All right, we're exploding out of our hands and our hips. And when you're teaching this to your guys, if you pick one, tell one in the room, just say, hey, stand over there across from me. Now throw your hips over to me. They'll do this. And then you'll look at their hips and you'll look at their hips after they've thrown their hips, and you'll look down at their feet, and their feet will both be just perfectly parallel, ready to go right or ready to go left, And so the big thing for us is that 6-inch step, we're going to be staggered. And when we come out of our hips, it's going to bring our feet together, not together, but it's going to bring them to the same level. And then we're going to be able to work left or right. So now we coach coming out of your hands and hips more so than we say 6-inch power step, or foot replace the hand or whatever. And then what we've done is we've turned that into like the second part of it. Now, so we see a kid whose steps are all over the place. He's stepping sideways. Now we start coaching that kind of secondary too, instead of starting with that there. All right. The biggest thing I think when I worked with Coach O at USC, he told me, he goes, Big Shawn, what do you think the difference in between first down get off and third down get off is? And I was kind of like, well, you're elongated on third down. You're trying to gain as much ground with the first step as you can. On first, he goes, listen, the only difference is the first step. The only difference because what happens is we get into this stance, and we're like, all right, it's 1st and 10. I'm going to 6-inch power step, and I'm going to get my hands on this guy. And then all of a sudden it comes third down and we got our asses in the air. We're ready to haul off and gain as much ground as we can. And we have the best get off of our life. Well, we should have that same exact get off on first down as well. It's just going to be a different first step. We're going to stagger our stance different. And when we come out of our hands and hips, it's going to put our step in a different place. But it should be that same mentality as we on third down when we're getting off as fast and as hard as we possibly can. The other thing is, and I got it on here, the big deal is we don't want to tip off anybody with our eyes or with our alignment. So we're pretty hard on making sure that we always look the same. Okay. Third down, we're trying to gain as much ground as we can with that first step. So the old school expression was, foot replaces the ball, not the down hand now. So what we've done is we've kind of coached that secondary, and what we've said is we're gaining as much ground as we can with that first step. And then, we talk about foot replacing the ball, maybe secondary to that. All right. So move on movement, ball indicator. And I got one, I put example, as the knee here of the O tackle. And this is what I mean. We're playing Cal one weekend in a game. And, we really believe that get off is the key in great D-line play. And so we're playing Cal and we're trying to figure out how can we beat Cal out of their stances? How can we be faster than Cal? And we're watching Cal's right tackle, and their right tackle would get into a stance like this. And the very first thing that moved was his right knee before he would get out of his stance. A couple weeks before that, we're playing Syracuse, and the quarterback was under center at this time, back in this time when I'm talking about. And the first thing that would move was his foot would drop back. His inside foot would drop back. We're always looking for an indicator to try to help us have a faster get off. We're trying to time it up by any little thing that we see. And every week it's normally something different. Okay, target. So exploding out of your hands and hips, shooting your hands to the breastplate, and eyes to the top of his numbers. And we always show our guys, like, we'll grab a guy and say, come here, buddy. And we'll say, all right, shoot your eyes to the top of my numbers. And then when you lower your pads and his eyes are still there, he's always got the lower pads. And that's obviously low man wins on the line of scrimmage. So we're the same way we're shooting our hands to the chest plate, we're shooting our eyes to the top of the number. We're trying to dive through his chest. And we know that no matter where he moves, if we keep that relationship, we're going to be the lower man. All right. 6-inch power step, like I said, 6 to 8 inch on first down. We still coach it, but it's just coached very secondary. Okay. And the biggest thing with this is discipline. It's striking your target, reading your keys, and the biggest thing for us, I'll move on to this next one with the hat and hand placement is we want to be attacking out of the stance. We want to be attacking the man across from us with speed and violence. Elbows are in, thumbs are up, aiming point to the breastplate. Okay. And so I know there's a lot of people out there that say sternum bicep, that say, whatever. There's all kinds of different things on a man that you can say that we're going to strike and grab and control. What we've done over time is say, especially with the jerseys have gotten tighter, we've kind of just said, hey, we're going to aim for that breastplate. We're going to try to grab both breastplates, both sides of that breastplate, and we can control an offensive lineman, and that also helps us really emphasize getting our hands inside. Sometimes when you say, sternum and bicep, first off, it's hard to get your hand into this spot. And the other thing is if we're going bicep, it's kind of helping us get wide and give up our target. So for us to help keep our hands inside, we talk about grabbing the breastplate of the offensive lineman. Not that that's right or wrong. We want to strike it and we want to grab it because our job is to grab that guy and control the block. Okay, with our power hand, our trail hand, inside hand placement wins. And so this is really big for us is hat and hand placement and getting inside, so that we can get really control these blocks. I remember, I started my career at North Carolina State University, and the D line coach, we started every single practice with board drill. Now I know board drill is getting phased out of our game, but just to prove a point, he looked at the guys and he said, "Hey guys, we'll never ever lose in board drill. It's impossible for us to lose." And I kind of thought, what in the heck's he talking about right now? And he said, "Listen, I just want you to get on that damn board. And the only thing I care about, I don't care about your get off. I don't care about anything. Just flip your hands up and get your hands inside first. If you get your hands inside first, you will win every single time." And I'm telling you, we were probably 99% win, just by getting our hands inside. So that's why another reason why we're trying to strike that breastplate and get those hands inside. We believe that's a key to victory. Um, Hat will attack tip of the pads. Hat will stay in our gap to our side. Like I said, we're a one gap defense. Shoot our eyes to the top of number. Low man wins. We've already talked about that. Is there anybody have any questions or anything? I know I'm talking a million miles an hour here, just trying to stay on time. Anybody have a question yet?
This is great stuff, Coach. Yep.
Okay. All right. Now separation. Okay. So big thing for us, and we teach the hell out of this is we really want to do a great job of reading our keys and defeating those blocks with hands inside. But to ever get into a position to escape or to actually see what's going on in the play, because as D linemen, I think that like high school kids do this, college kids do this, NFL kids do this. Guys I've been around is they want to step up and they want to look in the backfield to see where the ball's at. They want to try to find a play. They want to try to look around and see where stuff's going on. When the fact of the matter is the man right in front of you is telling you the job. And if we just do a great job of reading him and having him put us in, tell us what the job is and do the job, that's when we get really, really good. And a couple of those NFL D line guys I've been around say, some of these guys that everybody goes, "Oh man, that guy's a big freak. That guy is an absolute terror." They're just really, really good at reading their keys and knowing exactly what their job is and exactly how to react to what their key is giving them. So for us, if we're going to be in a block and we're telling them that guy's going to tell us our job and he's going to put us on our job, then we've got to get great separation so that we can see what's going on, so that we can see every play in our gap. And then the fact of the matter is, if we got a guy totally separated, we can see every play in our gap, and then we can see the ball declaring inside of us or outside of us and making a half a play too. So what we're ultimately trying to do is to be a gap and a half defensively across the front. And without separation, there's absolutely no chance of doing that. And there's really not a great chance of escaping the block, okay? So we want to lock out those elbows, snap his head back, change his pad level, keep our feet alive, and create a new line of sight. Now, separation is really, really big. And guys, I'll just tell you, we coach this like crazy around here, escaping blocks. And this is another one that guys at all levels just are not great at. And I don't care where you're coaching or where you're from. I mean, guys don't do a great job of escaping a block. And one thing you'll hear me and Coach Bapp running around the field screaming, we do not run off of blocks. We do not run off of blocks. We're escaping blocks. Okay, we're using our hands. We're being physically active with our hands. Okay, and so using our power hand, using our trail hand principles, and then punching off of blocks. Okay, ripping off of blocks. And when you get really good at this, and when you really spend time teaching this is where you end up going from a guy who defeats a block and sees the ball's declared and gets ready to go run off and make a play, and the O lineman's holding you just long enough that you're reaching now and just missing the play by this much. So we want to be very, very intentional of how violent we are getting off a block. So, the number one thing I'd love to do if it's a block to my side and the ball's running to my side and I've got leverage on the block, we teach the punch like crazy. The punch is just physically violent. Normally you can get guys' hands off you. It's harder to hold your breastplate when you're punching off. Okay, versus instead of ripping. The other thing about ripping is, ripping is really good, but when you're ripping, it's kind of bringing your pads up, and we really emphasize, for guys, if we can, and we're out in front on the block and we're defeating it, and we see the ball go, that we're punching off the block, it lowers our pad level and puts us in a position where now we can run to the football at a better rate and make a play. Also, we feel like that punch, and that just makes it hard to hold. Where like when you rip, it brings your pads up. Okay, it brings your pads up and kind of makes it harder for you to track the ball, and it makes it a little easier for you to hold. Now, hey, listen, there's times you got to rip off of blocks too. You just have to. I mean, if you're on the backside of a block and the ball's declared and you try to punch a block across a guy, and he's going to dump truck your ass straight down. So, we tell him like, look, okay, I'm defeating a block. I'm defeating a block. The ball declares outside of me or inside of me. Now I've got to cross this man right here. I'm going to try to rip off of the block because ripping across his body can work. Maybe punching across his body can't. So, there's a bunch of different ways to teach escape, and we try to actually be really good at most of them. Okay. And we teach them, and every day we work escape, and we work it in different situations, like starting on the positive half, starting on the negative half, and defeating all blocks. So big thing for us is not trying to run off blocks. And I don't care where I've been, coached, a first round draft picks, top 5 draft picks, and everybody does the same thing. We beat the hell out of a block. We're in a great position. The ball goes and we take off running, and somebody's holding us back just enough. So we teach the heck out of escape. Okay, pursuit. All right, so big thing in pursuit is okay, get to the ball using proper angles. Never following the same color jersey. We all know about this. We all coach this at some point or another, but I remember that this one thing I took from Coach O. Coach O told me, he goes, let me tell you something about coaching D-line, Shawn. He goes, big men set the tempo for the football team. When the big men are flying around, everybody has to fly around. And I looked at him, I said, you're exactly right. And he goes, you know who sets the tempo for the big men? Me. And he goes, how important do you think my job is around here? And I was like, pretty damn important. He goes, that's right. I set the tempo for the football team. And, from that day on, I've kind of always approached every single practice and game the exact same way. Big men set the tempo for the team. I set the tempo for the big men. Okay. And so, pursuit, we've got to be animals in pursuit. When we retrace and stuff and we hit smaller guys with the ball, those are devastating blows. Those are turnovers. Those can't be missed. Okay. Feet are critical in good pursuit. We teach corkscrew. Okay. And corkscrew is simply just when we got a guy rushing a quarterback or whatever it is, when we're rushing the quarterback and we see the ball's gone, it's tendency to see the ball's gone and start working around and start running to chase the ball. Well, we tell our guys, as soon as that ball's gone, put the foot in the ground, corkscrew it, and retrace. And the reason we talk about that so much is when you're fish hooking it, okay, your fish hook is taking you 5 steps. All right, if you corkscrew and go back those same exact 5 steps, you're going to make the play. The guy who fish hook isn't. And that's just one example of different things we do to make sure, that our pursuit angle is really good. But we don't want any wasted steps. We don't want guys working hard just to work hard. We want to make sure that we're putting them in a position where as soon as they realize that the ball's gone or the ball's away, that we're good with our feet, we're good with our escape, and we're good with our finish, and we're not following other colored jerseys to our job ever. Okay, tackling. Big men got to tackle big. Got to strike from the ground up. And when I say strike from the ground up, okay, the biggest reason I say that is, big men, you got to start with from the ground up, because big men tackle, naturally a lot of times tackle from up to down. And the big thing that causes a problem for is this. If big men are tackling big, if we're going to start with big men tackle big, you got to run your feet through contact. Every single drill we do is 5 hard steps. So when you make contact, you wrap, you run. Pre-game, when we're tackling pre-game, it's wrap and run, 5 hard steps. So on every single thing we do, we're teaching those 5 hard steps, because the biggest problem, really, honestly, that we've ran into, whether I've been at Coastal Carolina, USC, Tennessee, wherever I've been, where D linemen miss tackles is when they try to either one of 2 things: stop their feet and dive, or grab and then drag their feet to try to drag somebody down. All right, that's where we really miss tackles. That's where we get into bad spots. We try to teach the best we possibly can at run through contact, okay? And that starts with strike from the ground up, eyes go to the sky. And when I say eyes to the sky, just making sure that we're keeping our eyes not down but up, and that we're keeping our top of our helmet out of the play. Really, eyes to the sky is what we coach here. And in the past, we've really said, see what you're hitting and try to put your face right on the football. That was always the biggest point. Put your face right on the football for a couple reasons. Obviously, one, you're going to knock it out. And the secondly, if your face is on that football, you're never going to be in the targeting area. You're never going to be, below it where you're falling on your face or you're stopping your feet on contact. So we put our head on the ball and run our damn feet. Okay, wrap and drive. We talk about, we call it the Hulk technique. When we wrap, we want to like Hulk. We want to like Hulk, grab, and run through the ball carrier. All right, we want the ball. So strip attempt, sack, fumble, be a ball hawk. And this is one of those 10 commandments where, it might seem like something that's like you can put up every cliche point you want here, coach, but we try really, really hard, okay, to make sure that we're doing a good job of working these things. So when you're the second guy in, getting strip attempts, okay, when we're rushing, putting our drive hand on the football, we want to be ball hawks in the way that we tackle. Okay, so how do I go back to like regular screen here, Beth?
Hit escape.
Escape. Okay. I'm lost my mouse. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Everybody's got, hey, these are the coaching points. This is what we do. And some are different than others, and everybody's got their own version. But I think where you can pass people up is when you say, look, this is a standard. This is how we coach each one of these things. And the easiest thing to do is to coach get off and stance and get off drill. And then all of a sudden you go to a key drill or a read drill or whatever. And next thing you know, we're not making sure that we're in a great stance, or we're not making sure that, we're shooting our hands or whatever it is. Okay. So have I sparked any interest or any questions before I go into some of this drill stuff? Just more? Huh?
Just more.
More. Yeah.
More? Okay, good. I didn't know if you said more or bore. You're just boring us. Jesus, it's hard to get this many people to stare at a chubby redhead for this long. So God bless you guys up there. I know this is killing it.
I'm going redhead. Share your OnlyFans with us. There we go.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, if
All right,
it's
let me
deep
go.
line griddles, I'll watch that all day long.
Say it again.
I said, if that's D-line drills, I'll watch that all day long.
Oh yeah, here we go. It's coming up right now. All right, so I'm gonna go to get out of this.
Definitely gonna see that only for that's coming.
Am I doing it right, Bep? Okay. All right, can you guys see? Does it look good?
Great. Oh, that's great.
Okay. Now listen, guys, I just want you to know, and I'm being sincere here. I put all of our drills on, and I know I don't want to insult your guys' intelligence with, hey, this is how we coach get off and all that crap. But guys, really, even when we have a kid to camp or when we start our spring ball here in a little bit, we're going to start with get off. We're going to start with stance, and it's the fundamental foundation of everything we do, and that's where we start. So I've got a couple different clips on here. Now, one thing I'm going to ask that you forgive me on is this. Since I've been at Montana State, we haven't gotten a chance to get a lot of our individual on tape. So I do got some other schools on here. Okay. So this is at USC. You can see we're working credit card alignment. We're working get off. You can see these guys are flying out of their stance, 5 hard yards going all the way through. Okay. And then I'll show you. Go one more here. This kid, obviously our nose guard right there didn't have good credit card alignment. Okay, so see, now we're working movements. Okay, so now we've made like an army call where we're going strong to weak. So we're going to line up and we're going to work a movement where everybody's low dipping and ripping, getting their eyes to their new target and ripping and working those same 5 hard yards. Okay, and so I guess the biggest thing here, guys, is, and I'll show you when we get to the Montana State stuff. Okay, so this is pass rush. I'll show you. Let me see here. I don't have this for Montana State, but so we'll get into like a situation here and we'll make sure that we're working our rush games. We're working our stunts. We're working our run stunts, and then our pass wraps off of it. So we want to work everything in get off. Okay. And let me get to this Montana State stuff. So here's the big thing. You know, get off drill can be the most boring thing in all of ball. It can be a deal where guys just come and coast through and work through, and we just absolutely can't have that. It's one of the 10 commandments. It's the most important thing in the world, and we want to make sure we're emphasizing it. So the first thing we do, we'll come up and we'll call out a down and distance in a defense. So like right here, we're saying, okay, over Bozeman, close left, over Bozeman, close left, 1st and 10. All right, so these guys know what stance they got to get into. They know it's a first down. So here they come shooting their hands and hips out of their stance. All right, 1st and 2nd down, we want them shooting their hands and hips out of their stance and coming off like they're playing the run all the way through 5 hard yards. All right, and so, you know, giving them a chance to play a call. So, or to say, like you saw in the USC stuff there, saying, all right, it's 1st down and 10. We're going to run a pirate. And then right when they start running the pirate, I scream hi-hat. And so that they turn it into the pass version of, and the nose will wrap. Okay, so you can see these are 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, whatever it is. These are base downs where they're shooting their hands and hips, coming out, and we want them striking. We want 5 hard yards. We want to make sure that this drill is engaging to them. Okay, so we you know, it's not just, all right, get up on the line, all right, go, go. And you can see one thing Coach O taught me: we don't use a ball on the stick. We get down and we snap the damn ball. We want them to see that ball move, and it's important to us that they're getting off on that ball. All right, and so here's another one. I'm going to go to 3rd down here. So now it's 3rd down. So when it's 3rd down, now we don't want them shooting their hands and hips. We want them gaining as much ground as we possibly can with that first step. We want them working a move at inside at 3 yards. Okay, on outside at about 4.5 to 5 yards. We want them shooting that move. Okay. And so we want to make sure that we're getting a true good pass rush, you know, get off. So this will, I'll come up and go 3rd down. All right, 3rd and 10. It's green front. All right, we're running go, and we want to get all these guys going and moving. This one we don't need to put on. This one I was at Tennessee. This was just some other stuff that we had put on, some rush stuff. We can get past that. Okay, so just like those 10 commandments, everything we do, you know, we're trying to teach in a coaching progression. Okay, so we start every day with get offs, and we moved next to the line drill. Okay, and speaking of Rod Marinelli, this was Coach Marinelli told us, if I only get to do one drill every day, there's nothing more important than a D lineman reading his keys. And so we're going to do line drill every single day. All right. And what line drill is basically my fat behind right here is an offensive lineman. All right. And when these guys come out of their stance, and again, even though there's a ball up here, there's always a ball and they crowd that ball. I'm still working off of movement. So they're working off of my movement. So as soon as they see me, and this is the way Coach O did hi-hat. So this is the way I did hi-hat back in those days. They see hi-hat, they're going to rush it, and they're going to work a move. All right. And I'll show you kind of how we've evolved that a little bit, okay, since I've been here. So now they see this initially. They're coming off the ball as hard as they possibly can. It's hi-hat. Now my hands are up. So now they're going to retrace. Corkscrew, rechase. All right, here we go. Now this is pass. The same look for pass. And then now this would be draw. All right, so draw. Put your foot in the ground. Corkscrew, retrace. All right, here we go. Another one. Okay, now let me give you some. This is the number one we start with right here. This is run. So they see a O lineman. He's turned to the side. This means run. Okay, so I'm going to run. So they're going to stick their foot in the ground. No wasted movement. We don't want them getting up and rounding the turn. We want them flat. Put the foot in the ground. Corkscrew flat down that damn line and all the way through the line, which for us, we normally put the football in between the sideline and the hash. And we tell them if you get run way or another, you're running all the way off the field or running all the way through the hash. Here we go. So these guys are seeing hi-hat. They're reacting to hi-hat. And it's the biggest thing is we're just trying to get our guys used to reading their keys out of their stance. Let me move to some of this, some of the stuff we had here. All right. Like I said, guys, we only had one practice, I think, where we got to get stuff taped. And this one I first moved here. So see this right here where the hands are up. This is how we do hi-hat now. All right. And the reason we do hi-hat now is because this looks more like an O lineman setting a pass block. Okay. And so they're reading me as I'm an O lineman. This might have been the first time we ever did this drill here, getting it on tape. They should be clearing me, ripping and driving and clearing all the way past me. Flat down the line. This is literally the first time these kids are going through this drill. So I'm teaching a lot and coaching a lot here. But I want to get a chance for you guys to at least see kind of where we've evolved this drill, especially when it comes to hi-hat. There's a hi-hat. There it turns into a draw. Big Tua, you can see Big Tua about 150 pounds heavier than 96, but doing a good job putting his foot in the ground, corkscrewing and retracing. Okay, flat down the line. Daniel Hardy's number 44 right there. A kid that we had drafted out of here, go to play for the Rams. This year was his rookie season. So that's our we call that line drill, okay? And the biggest thing for us, we do this every single day. For us, it's about getting those kids. Okay, one we did get off drill. We got them in a great stance. We checked their stance. Their stance was great. We showed them how to get off the ball. Now we got them getting off the ball and reading their key. And so the next progression is now we getting off the ball, we're reading our key, and we're striking our target. And it always starts right here with 6-point explosion. Okay, the 6-point explosion drill, there's a lot of ways to do it on a 5-man sled, holding these guys up with the hand shield, making sure that the same things happen, elbows in, thumbs up, eyes are up. But it's shooting those hands and shooting those hips, because ultimately this is our get off, is shooting our hands and our hips, especially for the inside players. And so, for us, this is a drill that we do quite often. Everybody still got me here? Sorry, my thing was flinching a little bit. Okay. But you can see 95, how 95 here has got his elbows in, his thumbs up, his eyes up. He's coming all the way out of his hips. We want this to really be what a get off and a strike looks like. Okay. And the only reason it's not going to look like this ultimately is because he's getting off the ball too. And that's going to stop us before we can get to this point. We're hoping that we can get to this point with our footwork and our hands. So 6-point explosion. We do this every day. This is something that's that not only is much of a strike drill as we look at this like get off. And if you can see 3 on the left-hand side of the screen over here, he was really good at this drill. Always did a really, really good job at this drill. And when you're first starting to do this, asking these guys to finish with their dick in the dirt and not letting them pop straight back, making them hold until you say, until you whistle them or until you say off, making sure that their eyes are up, their elbows are all the way out. Their dick is in the dirt, and we're really getting that full extension because that's ultimately what we're trying to get to with our strike. 6-point explosion. Like I said, we'll do it on the 5-man sled right behind us over there. And we'll do it like this. This way you can get a little bit more give. You can kind of see a little bit more of what they're trying to do. And the thing is, you know, when you get into this drill, the big thing they all want to do is put their feet flat where like their toes are down. The coaching points in this drill are all 6 points are in the ground. So we're screwing those cleats into the ground. You know, we want to make sure that our hands are in that same 3-point style stance. And then it's elbows in, thumbs up, all those things. What we tell our guys is, how fast can you shoot your hips? How fast can you shoot your hands through the bag? So we stand right to the side of it right there. We say this is a race. How fast can you come out of your hips? How fast can you come out of your hands through that bag? It's a race. And we're watching them there to see them just exploding through the bag. 6-point explosion. Anybody got any questions on 6-point explosion? Okay, some clips of it there. Okay, right after that, we're going to go to the Duke sled. Okay, so it always goes, it's like I said, it always goes to progression. So this was the Duke sled that we had at USC. We got a different one here. I'll show you that in a second. But getting these guys, okay, so now you've got out of your 6-point explosion. Now let's get you in a 3-point stance. And basically, we call this Duke sled, and we're striking. But really, essentially, what this is this is 3-point explosion. So now we're on 3 points, and now we're still doing the exact same thing. Our hands, our hips. Okay, now we can just add an escape to it. This is something that, you know, we try to do every practice. We try to buzz right through these things, hustle through them so that we can get the fundamentals of what we're trying to get done. All right, here we go. I'll give you, okay, you guys pretty good there. Okay, now here's the Duke sled that we have here. The reason that we like to get on the 1-man sled sometimes and do this, and not always on the 5-man sled is this one gives. And so you can really focus on making sure they are getting that explosion and they are getting that escape. Okay. So I'll show you. Okay. We got a couple here coming up. All right. So this is all right. Not horrible here. Here we go. Got our butt down a little bit. So now all of a sudden we got our butt down a little bit. We got to get our butt up. Okay. Shooting our hips, shooting our hands, and then escaping. Now, the big thing when they're doing this drill, guys, that we try to tell them is, so like once I've defeated this block, you know, the big badass, especially in the group, wants to defeat the block and then throw the sled to the side. All right. And the big thing is that sled shouldn't be being thrown to the side. It shouldn't move that much if you're doing it right. Those hands are coming in, elbows. I defeat the block, and then I'm escaping the block. I'm trying to really emphasize escaping off of this thing. And if you're escaping off instead of trying to push him and closing our body to where our escape is, you know, that's not what we're trying to do. So you'll see us a lot. And this was like when I first got here. It's like the first day or two I was here. And you can see some of these guys, like look at Seabass here, who's an All-American for us here. He's just a hell of a player. But you can see this right now. He's ultimately going to be working this way and getting his butt to the ball carrier. But right now he's turned his body and closed himself off. Now he has to false step or cross over to do that. So we try to make sure that that escape isn't too huge and that bag isn't being thrown too far to the side. And these guys, like I said, are just learning the drill for the first time. Big Tua with a decent rep there. There you go. Just give me a nice, want to make sure that this looks just like 6-point explosion. All right, so we're good here. This kid was really good, technically sound on a lot of stuff. There's Daniel Hardy. Just make sure, guys, when they're striking this bag, we don't want those hands too far up, okay? We don't strike people like this unless we're playing 8-feet tackles, you know, or 7'5" tackles. We're not going to be striking like this. So making sure that they're coming out of their hands and hips and working good pad level and working to feed the block, power hand, trail hand. We don't want the damn sled up above us at 5 that hard. Okay, and then we go to the 5-man. The big thing with the 5-man is this is just 6-point explosion from a 3-point stance. So now we you know, this is strike the sled. We call this, you know, 5-man, but at the end of the day, this is really just a chance to do a 3-point explosion with an escape. We do it several different ways. You get 3 different shots at it. The third one being an escape, the first two being strikes and separates. You know, that way it helps you work on the separation, and then work on the escape off of it. You know, this one we were just doing one pop because this was first day with the guys, just trying to get elbows in and thumbs up. Get those butts up, make sure we got our butts high in our stance, make sure our escape is good. 96 had a shitty escape there. Okay, see like 95 right here. This is a big thing. When I first moved here, look at everybody's hands except for 44. I can't really see 44 from where I'm at, but look at 50's hands, look at 95's hands, look at 3's hands. Everybody was striking like this. You can't control blocks like this. Elbows are in, thumbs are up. We want to control men. You can't control them like this. And you know, I can see a coach right there pointing it out. This was something that we had to break because you know we hit the buck sled here all the time. The shiv sled, and guys were striking like this always, and just put themselves in a bad spot. So we were just trying like crazy to get that coached out of them at first. Okay, so now we've gotten to a great stance. We've got out of our stance. We've read our keys. We've striked our target. We've come out of our hands and hips. Now we want to transition into playing run scheme. So a couple things here. We want to go to, this is called key drill, and we just want to line up 2 versus 1 on this, and we want to go through those. This is a 3 technique right here, and we're just going to show them the blocks we're seeing that week. So here's a rub double, not a very good rub double by these guys, but here's a rub double, getting those hands inside, defeating the block, escaping the block. Okay, here's another 3 technique, same thing. Power hand, trail hand, my hand's going back at the end. Okay, Leonard Williams, this kid right here was a 3rd pick in the draft. All right, so here we go. So recognizing hi-hat, okay, and then working off of it and making a move. And the big thing I think, guys, when you go over to these key drills, like you're trying to think of like, okay, here's a go, rub double, true double, you know, trap block, whatever it is that you're seeing, and you're trying to work them. And we kind of naturally forget to throw hi-hats in there. It was one thing Coach O was always really good at, is like, look, we want to make sure we're doing a great job training these guys to see hi-hat and react to hi-hat. So don't ever forget to throw those into a block. Not great with his hands there by Antoine Woods. Still playing in the NFL. He's been in league for 10 years or so. Okay, George Uko responding to a hi-hat, working a move and going. So key drill, you know, this is a 6 technique. He steps way too far inside, working the hi-hat. This isn't a good look by him, a kid who ended up being a good football player for us. So anyways, just getting a chance to give these guys, all right, now you're in your stance. You're in that great stance. You're crowding the ball. You're getting off the ball. You're striking your target. You're reading your keys. And now how fast can you react to what you're seeing? And I used to work for a guy who was a really, really good football coach, and he used to always say the same thing. He goes, Coach, I want my D-line coach to go down there and work key drill all day long, and then about 5 to 10 minutes left, work some hi-hat or work some pass rush. You know, because if you can read your keys and react to them, and so when you get into the game and those blocks, you react into those blocks as second nature, you know, that's when you're going to be really, really good. That's when you're going to kick people's butt. Okay, so I want to tell you guys, you know, these are all just different versions of the same drill. This is us doing it here, starting with giving Dre a hi-hat. All right, and then we're working across here. Okay, same thing. Okay, squeezing scrape rules. Okay, squeeze rolls, working back to the outside element. Okay, so these are just kind of like one-on-one for the ends. We are starting in wide 5s. Okay, and then we work the inside guys next. Now, one thing I want to tell you guys, I thought was really cool. Let me stop sharing here for 1 second. So can you guys see me a little bigger now? You guys all know who Coach Pete Jenkins is. I've taken a lot of stuff from Coach Pete Jenkins, and one thing he said to me when he came to USC this last time I was there with Brandon Bealey, he said, he goes, man, you know, it's too spread out. You're not getting a chance to move quickly from drill to drill. So what he said was, do a box. All right. So when you're a one-man D-line show, or even when you have 2 men working, so do 1 key drill here. Here's 2 O linemen. Here's the D lineman going against them. Then put 2 here. All right, and then put 2 here with the D lineman here, 2 here with the D lineman here, and then so what you can basically do as a coach is stand right here and say, all right, give me rub double here. They work through the rub double. Okay, perfect. Give me a hi-hat here. They work for the hi-hat. Okay, perfect. Now you can flip over here and you can give them the next one. Flip over here. So as a coach, you're not really moving much and you've got great vision to where you can see the back angle of everything and you can kind of go through the drill like this. It gives you a great angle. So that's something that we've incorporated now, and I don't have film of. Like I said, hopefully me and Coach Bapp will have more film next year. We're going to really make an emphasis on getting stuff filmed this year. So let me go back to my share here.
All we need is 12 and 11.
All right, am I right back, Coach Bapp? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. All right, so that's the key drill. Okay, any questions on key drill at all? Okay, so big bags. Big bags, I put big bags on here. We don't have any big bag film from Montana State. I'm sorry to say. Not everybody has the capability to have big bags. I know that. I've been at schools where we didn't have them when I got there and I had to find a way to get them. I just, to me, this is such a huge part of rushing. You know, everything we do when we're rushing with guys is we want them working on the move. We want them working all their moves on the move. When I was in college, you know, a coach would say, all right, put your hand on his chest. All right, perfect. Now you slap it down and replace it. Now he does, like, no moves are being thrown without gaining ground. So every single time we're throwing a move in practice, we want these guys gaining ground so that they can work a move on the move and they can clear and they can finish on every single move. So big bags, we worked like crazy on this. Is something we always did. Coming off that last bag with a rip and a drive. Important to us, not getting too wide around the bags. Kevin's getting a little too wide around the bags here. Make sure we're not pushing that last bag into the dirt. We're ripping and driving, okay? So here we go. This year we were going out to practice, and I had big bags on the practice schedule. And we get out there, and Coach Bapp tells me, hey, Coach, our GA didn't realize this was on here. We don't have the big bags out here today. We had some O linemen and some young D linemen in the back of the drill, and we said, okay, perfect. We'll put these guys in the same position these bags would be, and they can put their hands out in front of them like they're trying to grab their chest, which will help us, which will ultimately help us. It can be a good look too. And so we'll do that when we don't have the big bags, or we'll have, you know, we'll find a way to get something done, okay? So here you go again, just doing a good job of making sure we're taking away that target, okay, and we're ripping and driving off the last bag. Now, one thing we did at USC, we don't do it as much here on these big bags, is we would always, after the second time going through the big bags, on the third one, we would say, act like you're throwing that move, like you're going to move inside of him, and then throw a spin. I don't think every single D lineman needs to be throwing a spin. We don't teach spin as a move. We teach it as a counter. And so you don't always have to incorporate that type of stuff. We really tell our guys is, listen, go pretend you're throwing your best move against an O lineman. And so how can we finish every single rush with a rip and with a drive? And so go work whatever the hell move it is that you work, and rip and drive it. So that's what we work more so than the spin. I don't think the spin is a huge carryover for every single person either. All right, then we tighten the bags up. One thing that we've done over time is whenever we do go tight bags, and you see, you know, this is a drill that you'll see on like D-line vids or whatever. What we've done now is we've turned it into 3 bags, not 4, the tight bags. Kind of gets them in and out of it a little bit better. I don't know that 4 is even really realistic at all anyways. And so what we've done is we've got it to 3, kind of gets them in and out of it a little bit quicker. But see how low George is coming off that last bag? Instead of pressing his hand on it, I wish he was ripping and then driving and putting that hand right there, that drive hand right on the football. That's a hell of a job right there if we can get that thing done like that. Okay, same thing. They're pressing off on that last bag, wanting to try to get them ripping on that last bag. Okay, so making sure that they're not sticking that in the ground, because that rip is what's going to save us. You can see Morgan throwing a great rip here and bringing a great drive in. Okay, another one that we do, and like I said, we're trying to make sure everything that we do, okay, every single drill that we do, we want it to be, you know, them to throw a move. We want them to throw a move on the move. We don't want them throwing a stagnant move, ever working hands without working the feet. So here's just a couple of versions of hand fighter. So a guy comes and works a move, he clears, he comes back, works a move, he clears, He comes back, he works a move, he clears. And you see, I'm putting up one hand or another, and they're going to work the hand that I give them. And the reason we do that is we teach landmark rush. All right. And so our landmark rush, if we're an outside rusher, okay, we're rushing 4 yards behind the outside foot of the tackle. And we're going to take what he gives us. He oversets us, we're going to work inside of him. He's not on the same, we're flying to this landmark now. We're straight as an arrow to this landmark. And if he's up with us, we're going to work an outside speed move. If he's right in the middle of us and we can't work past him without getting past the quarterback, and we can't come inside without losing contain, we'll work a power move then. And so we want to work that. And so we want to start with this drill right here of basically telling them, hey, we're going to give you something and we want you to take it. I actually normally give them the hand just a little quicker than I did on that last one. Okay. And then I think I got some here from from Montana State. When our guys first come here, when it's really good, when you're giving them the hand and you're letting them work that hand, okay, when they start getting good, they'll start working the hand and they'll open their chest up to you. If they open up their chest to you, take that other hand and smoke them right in the chest. Give them that little thump of like, hey, you're giving your target away. Because we want them to throw a move without giving their target away and to get low again, take away the target and finish with a rip. So like this kid Amandre here, you can see me, I'm really trying to get it in on him and this kid Daniel, because they were horrible at giving away their target when they threw a move. This, like I said, guys, this is the first day we ever went on this drill. They were really just trying to figure out what the hell we were even doing. We got to get better tape together for it. So that's hand fighter. Something that we like to do when we can. We like to do this. And the reason we like to do this, because like I said, we want to try to start getting good at taking what the blocker's given us or reacting to what the blocker's given us or countering to what the blocker's given us. So we work the side he's given us. Okay, hoops. How am I doing on time, by the way, coach? Am I over anything?
You technically, but I don't think anybody's complaining, coach. This is good shit. Keep going.
Just cut me off when you want. Okay, the hoop drill. This was a shitty day. You can see just on my shoes right here, there's grass all over the place. It was so wet. I shouldn't even have been doing this drill. I should have been doing half hoops. These guys are running here through slow. I just put this on here because I want you guys to see, giving them something to aim for, giving them something to strike, throwing the rip and throwing the drive. They can't even really rip here because it was so wet. So I'm going to move past these here. So here's what we end up turning the drill into: half hoops, which sometimes when it's cold or wet or snowy, or I'm sure you guys deal with some snow, as do we, making sure that we can still put them in a drill where they're working this. All right, so here we go as a version of it here. And we just want to give them always, like I said, we're always starting with movement. So first thing we're going to do is giving them an O lineman. They're going to work on his movement. That's their get off. And then here goes a half hoop of staying nice and tight, working a move, throwing a rip, bringing a drive. So we always want to emphasize those same exact points: rip and drive, rip and drive. We don't get a drive right there. Rip here, drive there. There you go. Good. Rip, drive. Put that hand on the football right here. All right. So we work hoops a couple different ways where we let them run all the way around figure eight. Sometimes we do half hoops. More so we do figure eight, like what you saw in the first clip. I just don't have a lot of great film of it right now from here. Like I said, I think we got 1 or 2 practices filmed. Let's see what we got here. Okay, working the rip, working the drive. They should both be going at the same time. They should both be working the same way. If they go at the same time, they're not going to run into each other. So if they're working off of my cadence over here, never going to have an issue with them running into each other. Okay, the other thing we do when it comes to pass is partner rush. Okay, in partner rush, we'll start them in the same stance. We'll start them in a 2-point stance. We do it all kinds of different ways. We just want them running that landmark. So we're going to run to that landmark and we're going to throw a move. So it's a move of the day. So we started right here. This was chop, okay, swim. Chop, swim, and it's not really a swim. It's the way we teach it. Chop, dip, rip. Chop, dip, rip right here, okay? It's just we call the swim sometimes like where the hand is just coming over. We never have the swim here because we're never trying to give away our target in anything we do in any of our rushes. The point of partner rushes, guys, is this is another chance for these guys to work a different move every single day. And when they work in a different move every day, they're working it on the move and working it against hands of an offensive lineman. So you guys will hear me sometimes get fired up in this drill, and almost every time it's for a guy giving them a shitty set or not giving them hands to work with. But we just don't want these guys ever working moves stagnant. So every single day we work a different drill, a different move. Okay, escape. We talked about escape. All right, and remind you guys, this is like our first day doing this, so I'm actually just getting a chance to really teach it to them for the first time. Okay, so when we're doing escape from a positive half, so we start on the positive half, we're out in front. We got the power hand here with the right hand, the trail hand with the left. And when we get that block defeated, I'm going to give another go. So I'll say go to start the drill, go to escape. You've got the thing. And then here goes our punch down. Like I said, it lowers our pad level, puts us in a position where we can run. Obviously, I'm not very athletic anymore, and I'm not trying to pretend like I am here. So, but this would be start positive half. You can see the hats on the right side. Go, 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 go. Once they got it defeated. Getting a chance to make sure they're working their power and their trail and get natural at punching off of blocks, working off of blocks, escaping blocks. We don't want to run off of blocks, so we drill this quite often. And Coach Baptist is one of the things where, like, Coach Baptist this year was like, Coach, we are running off some damn blocks right now. We got to work this drill every single day this week. It's a point of emphasis, and we'll start with that. So now all of a sudden you got a guy in a negative half. So now when he's in a negative half, I stand back here like a ball carrier. And I either say, all right, you're working the backside of a block. Let's say you've got reached and you're working the backside of the block, or it's zone away and I'm striking a man in the chest and he's zoning away from me. I'm on the backside. I can clearly see in my gap. Okay, the ball hits in my gap, escape into my gap. Okay, then I'll do what you'll see here. Okay, the ball's away from me. Now I'm escaping across. And like I said, we don't really teach punch across a lot just because we can get in some trouble with that. You want to rip those blocks. Okay, and like I said, this is first day, so these guys are really having a time figuring this out. But when you get going on the front side, when you start positive half, everything escape to your gap. When you go negative half, now you give them option of you got to read your gap, you got to know your job, and you got to escape front side or back side based on where the ball carrier is at. We teach escape every day. All right,
Hey,
shot
Coach,
drill. Yeah.
The food just arrived, and I'm the smallest guy in the room. So I'm probably going to be the one that sacrificed to these guys. So I think they're giving us the hook. Thank you so much, man. That was killer. That was really good.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, listen, I appreciate your time and appreciate you guys listening and paying attention like that. I'm tired of hearing myself talk, so I can't imagine where you're at mentally right now. But, if there's something you saw or there's something you want us to go into bigger detail sometime down the road, me and Coach Bap, we're here for you guys. And, any way you guys want to reach out to us, email us, you want to come by, you want to do one of these Zooms and hit something specific, we're always here for you guys, always. Okay? We appreciate what you do. Guys, I look at you guys with the utmost respect. I know the most important person in my life was my freshman football coach, my 7th grade basketball coach to this day. And so I know you guys make a huge, huge impact. And we thank you for what you guys do, okay?
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you, man.
All right, guys.